and welcome back to my channel, Being Human. Recently I have been aware of something that I was not aware of before, and it has done nothing short of game change my entire life. And this information was brought to me somehow, I don't know how. I ended up receiving emails around the natural laws of mankind, and I felt like this was really interesting, but I had no idea how this person got me onto their database. So I reached out and I said, look, your content looks interesting, but I don't know how we are connected in any way, and I'd love to have a talk with you, possibly about potentially doing an interview. And long story short, I had a chat to the guy and he invited me to join a course. And the course is basically learning the natural laws of mankind. And it's learning our rights. It's similar to common law, but it's a little bit more grounded than that. And it's not as kind of, how do we say, I don't even know the words for it actually. I can't really define the difference between the two yet, but I'm very aware that the common law is probably more towards criminal activities, and this natural law of mankind is actually just about our rights as human beings here on the planet. And common law is very much accepted within the, within the world, but it's not widely known about. And it sits, here's common law and here's legal law currently in society, and the legal law is what we seem to think that we're governed by. But actually it's our common law rights that we have never been taught correctly that are what's going to set us free and what's going to really help us to define our sovereignty and to become who we truly are meant to be. And learning this and learning that the very difference between legal law and common law is nothing but a difference in language. And for me, that blew my mind. Knowing that, when we spell something, we're casting spells. It's a spelling for a reason. And our words define our reality. And when we use certain words, they lock us into certain places in our reality. And this is why they call it a statement. So when you make a statement, the word state is talking about a consciousness state. You put someone else in a state. You want them to listen to the state in which you're putting them in. And then meant is also to do with mind. So this is putting someone's mind into a state. So when you say a statement, you want the other person to receive what you're saying, and you're consciously putting their mind into a certain state. And it's the reason, all of this stuff behind the words that we use today. We weren't taught the original etymology of the words. We weren't taught where they originally came from or what they meant. And they've been mixed up over time and not in our favour. And I have never been one for grammar or English or anything like that. I really just wasn't interested in any of that kind of stuff. But now it's fundamentally important, I believe, for me to learn this language, this original language that we had, so that I can become a free person. And what I mean by that is that I can exist on this planet with my own rights, with the rights of mankind, and understanding what rights we truly do have. Because ever since this whole COVID situation has started happening, things have become tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And we have got resistance against this, tyranny that we're experiencing. But there's still a large amount of people that are like, oh, I don't really know. A lot of people at the moment are in this place where they fundamentally know and feel on the inside that something is not correct, something is not right, something doesn't feel okay. But the problem is if you delve into that space of the unknown where it doesn't feel okay, it's change. It's an unknown space, and it's a scary space, because you then ask the question, why is this happening? And when you ask the right questions, you get the right answers. But not many people are willing to hear the answers to the questions of why. And people will say that they don't really know what's going on, but they do. They know that what's happening right now on this planet is the worst act against human rights ever. And they know that everything is being taken away from us. But what that leads to, and when you keep asking why and why and why, is some pretty grim answers. And those answers, not grim, grim. Those answers, you know, are scary, because there are people trying to take control of us. Some of the best companies out there are, you know, with the most solid information available, are actually being blocked off of all social media. Doesn't matter whether you're a crazy conspiracy theorist, or whether you, you know, what people say, oh, they shouldn't have a right to speak. Whether you sit in the line of crazy conspiracy theorists, even though most of them aren't crazy, they're just asking questions, or you sit in the line of I'm providing solid information from an educational point of view. Both of those angles of looking at this information are being hushed. We're being banned in many places to be able to speak about what's happening. If you have a look at what's going on in America right now, regardless of whether you like Trump or not, because basically all you're dealing with is a massive amount of judgment against someone you've never met if you don't like him, and you're reading what's happened out there and you're taking that on as like it's gospel truth. But regardless of whether you approve of Trump or whether you like him or not, it doesn't matter. What's happening in the United States right now is a huge amount of election fraud. And there has been a manipulation of the results, and all the media are calling Biden the person of a president now, that they're calling him our president, not our president, but, you know, the president of the United States. And that's not true, because legally that's not actually happened yet. And everyone's running off at this idea that just because the media said it, that means it's so. And that's not correct. And we are now currently suffering in this world from a manipulation of the media, and I call it CRD, and I've termed it CRD, and that means context replacement disorder. And they're changing the context of many of these stories, and they're giving us a view of the world that isn't so. And what we're having to do now is piece information together and try and make sense of the most craziest time we've ever lived in. But because we were all divided against conspiracy theorists and not conspiracy theorists, and people who are racist and people who aren't racist, and people who are against Muslims and people who aren't, because all this division has taken place, very few people have managed to sit down in the middle of this and say, hold on a minute, we're just being divided. Let's take a look at this. And because we're all too busy hating each other, judging each other, or believing that we have different problems and that we're more superior than each other. But we're not. We're all getting dealt the same card. Every one of us. There's a really amazing platform that I strongly believe in a lot of the work that they do, which is called Rebel Wisdom on YouTube. It's a very highbrow channel, and what I mean by that is they have really deep conversations about things. But however, you know, they weren't necessarily on the line of the conspiracy theorists. They didn't really want to look down that angle, and when they did, it didn't really come across without judgment. It was kind of a kind of, we want to hear to prove you wrong. However, they have incredible guests, and David, who runs that channel, does incredible work with interviewing. He's done an awful lot for Jordan Peterson, and he really does deep work and deep research. And even some of his guests, who are esteemed academics in many ways, are being cancelled from places like Facebook. And even people who had the highest amount of knowledge and information in all these different areas that have once worried about conspiracy theorists and called them a major problem are now going, hold on a minute, something's not right, because even our information is being tackled. So you've gone from crazy conspiracy theorists to good, strong academics to, you know, amazing doctors, to the very centre where everyone's getting treated the same. It doesn't matter where you fit on that. And this is the problem that we have, is we've been so focused on our division, we've forgot that we're all having the same problem. And this right now is, for me, learning this course, this Law of Mankind course, is so paramount for me to be able to understand the terminologies and the words that are being used against us, and to uncover what that means, and to change it in my own, you know, using my own lexicon, my own way of speaking, to change the words and to use these words to give me power. And I hope to be able to teach these words to other people as well. And I'm working very closely with the people who run the course. And I've said I will do all I can to share this information, because I feel it's important. And gone are the days where we could just roll over and go, oh, I'm not interested. If you're not interested in today's world, with the most amount of crimes against humanity taking place, and with free speech being chopped in half, and with the ability to be able to go where the hell you like, when you like, if you're not interested yet, then I have no idea what your tipping point is. Because it's now people are looking up and saying, this needs to stop. And it's people who are not willing to look at this information or think there's something else more important like Netflix or Instagram or, you know, getting drunk or getting wasted. It's these people that haven't yet woken up, that haven't yet taken the step into looking at this information properly without going, oh, it's just too much for me, it's too much, I can't handle it. It's those people that really are the block here at the moment, because once everybody kind of goes, oh, let's agree on something, that we are all being dealt the same cards, we can then do something. But while we're divided, it's hard for the people who have already woken up to this information to carry the weight for everyone that hasn't, but they're willing to. They're really willing to. The people who haven't yet woken up are going to wake up at some point, I'm sure, but the people who have woken up are doing whatever they can to save your life, to do whatever they can to improve this situation somehow, whether that's legally, whether it's common law, whether it's Magna Carta law, whether it's looking at teaching people different ways to handle anxiety and depression. There are people out there willing to do things for the many, even though the many aren't willing to do things for the few. And that for me is, you know, enlightening, and I love that. And I think, wow, that's empowering to know so many people out there that are doing game-changing things. But I really do stress that if you can share this video, I'd really appreciate it. I want to get as many people listening to this content as possible, because it's important. What I'm about to deliver on this channel and doing what I'm doing with my Telegram, which is t.me/natrich, is educating people on the right use of the words that we currently have today, and ways in which we can free ourselves emotionally from the feelings that we have. And I wouldn't say I'm an expert in anything other than myself. I've spent a long time looking into myself, looking into what I need to do to improve my life and what needs to go in order for it to go in the direction I want it to go into. And I coach on that, I teach on that, and I get interviewed on that 3 or 4 times a week, you know, just on, you know, the Unfuck Your Life brand that I have. It's what you can do in your own life to improve it so you can handle what's going to happen on the planet. And I'm not talking about aliens and major conspiracy theories. I'm talking about real people with real problems about us having freedom. And they are against us in some way. And we need to do something about that, but we don't need to fight. You can't fight a fight and expect things to change. We need to come at this from a different level of consciousness than which it was created, as Einstein once said. We need to go above, integrate what is happening, and approach this metaphysically. So metaphysically is everything that you can't see. Physically is this is me, this is my phone case, I'm here physically. Metaphysically is all the things you can't see around me. That's the area that we need to come to this from, because coming at it in the 3D world that we live in at the moment isn't working, and that's why we are where we are. We need to approach this in a very different way. And this is exactly what my channel is about. This is exactly what the information I'm going to be doing is about. And I have great stuff happening for, you know, the radio station that I have too, that's coming with more of this information. But we're not fighting, we're rising up. And we need to stay in peace, we need to stay in love, and we need to stick together, because it's so important that we do so. So if you have liked this video, I really appreciate it. If you haven't, please like it, and also subscribe and share it with your friends. And I will see you on the next one. I'm literally about to go out for a walk in the rain, but because I don't want to be stuck in the house, this is my hour of exercise a day. So thank you, Boris. I'm going to take it and go for a walk in Hangovers, which is in my local area. So if anybody's local to this as well, reach out and say hi. I'm always up for a walk and a talk. And for the rest of you, have a great day.